I always had that fire in me, that attitude where if someone tells me that I can't do it, I kind of want to do it just to prove them wrong. My name is Muhammad Aleef. I am better known as AleefHamilton, and I race for Team Flash. E-racing is basically motor racing, like Formula 1 that you see out in real life, but it's in the game, right? It's on the PC.
Overdriving the car. Whoa, where did AleefHamilton come from? Out of nowhere, a move into pull-on like that, he just barged his way through.
Growing up, my parents were bankrupt, so it was always like a bit of a struggle. But my parents were great that we never really felt it, me and my brother. I've always wanted to be a Formula 1 driver, but because of the amount of money that's required to become a Formula 1 driver, I could never go near that. But I think that's where esports came in and kind of like became another avenue for me to be a racer. I entered sim racing back in 2009. I believe I was 10, 11 years old. So when Formula 1 first came to Singapore, there was like a road show, right, going on, and where they had a lot of simulators over there. So I learned how to drive at these road shows. So that's how I got my first start, and then I turned pro in 2018.
AleefHamilton eases past Fadli Rakhmat. It is another victory for AleefHamilton.
Everyone has the same equipment, and oftentimes more than not, it kind of is the best equalizer to show who's the fastest driver. So I really always enjoyed that. So right now I'm in university in the States through a esports scholarship. People told me like, oh, if you're going there to race and study, you're not gonna excel in either of them. But I took that same thing personally, and I'm like, now I've got a Dean's List twice in a row, and I've won 3 championships there. So I feel like it's been working out really well. So I've won 7 Asia Pacific championships, and I've won 3 American championships. The 7 Asia Pacific championships kind of happened after I turned pro, 2018. So every year I kind of won 1 or 2. And then when I got the opportunity to go to the States, I won another 3. I always had that fire in me, that attitude where if someone tells me that I can't do it, I kind of want to do it just to prove them wrong. So if like anyone just comes up to me and like, you can't go faster than me, I'm like, okay, I'll show you. I just feel the speed, the speed, the sound, the rawness, the emotions of cars in general. It's just all of it. It just combines to make that beautiful symphony of like engineering that man has made.
Your winner for season 1 of the E1 Championship, Muhammad AleefHamilton.
So my first competition was in 2011, and it was held at Marina Square. It felt quite special because I was 11, 12 years old. So and I was going up against all the adults at that time. So I would always like look up, and I would barely fit in the rig. So they'd always have to shift my pedals back every time I do. But at the same time, it was a good challenge because I always wanted to be like, you guys may be taller than me, stronger than me, but I still want to beat you guys. So I think that's where it all kind of lit up for me. Yeah. So my IGN is AleefHamilton. So I've always been a Lewis Hamilton fan growing up. The reason was, I think growing up, he was the only one who kind of like looked like me. He's always been like super supportive. Whenever a kid approaches him, he always makes time for him. So I was that kid back then. I was at the hotel that he was staying in. My father figured out where he was staying at by looking at all the sponsors logo at the bottom of the website. So we were like the only family hanging out at the hotel lobby at like 5 in the morning waiting for him. Shook his hand and I was like, yes, I want to be like you. So that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And he was like, you can do it. He told me that if I can do it, you can do it too. And don't listen to anyone else who say you can't. Believe in yourself. Like every Formula 1 driver out there has a sim at their homes because of how cost effective it is to learn a new track and how close it is to reality. And at the same time, they can compete with everyone else and kind of own their own skills. So it's very, very important right now. I have raced against a few Formula 1 drivers so far. For example, Max Verstappen. So I've raced against him in real life in 2015. Romain, Grosjean, Stoffel, Vandoorne, a few of these really good drivers. I mean, obviously it is a game, but you can still learn so much from it that you can apply in your life. So in sim racing, we need to tune our own cars, which means that we have to be an engineer literally to understand all the different parts of the car, suspension, geometry, the engine modes, the mix, whatever. So it kind of forces you to learn a lot of different stuff that you kind of can carry on to real life.
Big pressure for Aleef. Look at all those cars in front. Well, if he wants to win the championship, he's got to get up into the top 5.
I've lost way more than I've won. The most painful ones are the ones that you put in so many hours in, like a month's worth of training only for your PC to die. Or your teammate put the car in the wall in the first lap of the race or the endurance race, and it can be like a 24-hour race, right? So all these things kind of plays a part. It's part of sport. You know, I think every athlete out there has probably lost more than they've won.
AleefHamilton finishes in P7.
I always treat my losses as a way of learning. So if I ever lose a race, I never feel like giving up. It's more of like, I'll just love to go back and then reanalyze what I did wrong so that I can be better in the next race. It's been like ingrained in me, that part of me. I never really treat a failure like a total failure. Inspiring the younger generation, that's also pretty cool because I have all these kids like messaging me on Instagram like, whoa, what are the steps, asking for tips and advice. So I think that's a pretty cool alternative pathway, I would say. I was at some sim racing meet and this little kid just ran up to me, Aleef, yeah, I want to be like you, can you teach me? I'm like, sure. And then I just kind of set him on the rig and then showed him a few techniques. That was my first time experiencing that, so it was pretty cool. I want to be a world champion, so I think that's kind of what I've been kind of working towards. And hopefully eventually kind of make it to real life racing. But at the same time, if I don't get that opportunity, I'm perfectly fine because obviously that wasn't meant to be. I never want my last win to be my peak. So I always want to make my peak the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And then obviously it's like a staircase, right? Just keeps climbing. Obviously perfection is almost impossible to achieve, but it's the chase, the dedication, it's the work to hit that perfection.